So, Mara, there have been dozens of movies made about drug addiction. What about Beautiful Boy stood out to you and made you want to be a part of it?
Several things. Well, one, the fact that it was based on true story, which I remember reading initially David Sheff's article in New York Times Magazine. Um, I remembered reading that. And the fact that it was based on the two memoirs of the father and the son, I think is unique. Um, that the script was beautiful. Felix is an amazing director, the whole package. But I think what's is unique about it is that you really get to see exactly what happened, because whatever in David's book, when Nick is missing, Nick fills in the details of what he was doing. So you really get a complete picture. Very brutally honest for both of them.
You mentioned those books in the New Yorker article. Can you talk a bit about your initial reactions when you read those, just on a personal level?
When I read the story
Yeah, yeah,
in the Times,
yes.
I mean, I don't know how I responded. I just thought it was well written and kind of very moving. I mean, I don't actually, it was years ago, I think. Um, but when the movie came across to me, whatever, I came across it, I was like, oh, right, I do remember this. And I can easily see how it was expanded upon.
Mhm. Talk a bit about the character that you play in the film.
I play Karen, who is David's second wife, Steve Carell's second wife. And the part's interesting because Karen and David got married, I think, when Nick was 5 or 6. So she really did a lot of parenting. She was a mother to him, um, and had a deep. They had a very deep connection, um, and so it's hard for her because then she had 2 children of her own. So she was kind of stuck in the middle between this really deep fondness and love for her stepchild, who was creating chaos for her other children. So I think she had so much empathy for him, and yet so much frustration that he was causing so much pain for the family. And I
And
think that's, it's hard. That's what addiction does. You love someone, but they alienate you. They end up alienating everybody.
and did you have an opportunity to speak to the real life people who this story is based on before you started filming? Did you glean
Yeah,
anything
I
from that?
talked to Karen several times. She was very helpful. And she's very kind, very smart. She's a very talented artist. She's a painter. Oh, my coffee's here. Thank you so much. Thank you. Uh, and she was very open and honest with me, and it was helpful because she filled in a lot of there was a little bit of maybe some holes in the script as far as who Karen was. So that was helpful to her, and she's funny.
Mhm. Did you do any other kind of research? I mean, there's tons of people who are affected by this, both addicts and the families and loved ones of addicts. So I mean, was there other kinds of research that you were able to do, or experiences that you could draw upon to help in shaping and molding this performance?
Yeah, I mean, I read both of their books. Um, I, to be honest, I was more interested. What was more compelling to me personally, just my role in the film, is this relationship between people that get into relationships because of marriage, either step parents, brother-in-laws, sister-in-laws, mother-in-laws, father-in-laws. Like the fact that you are sort of thrown with someone because of a marriage, there can be an intense bond. And I'm always fascinated with that kind of love, because you don't pick it, you don't choose your parents, your mother-in-law or your father-in-law, but sometimes there can be a profound love and connection that's almost random in a way, so that's the part of the role that I was focused on and interested in, is the depth of her love for him being a step parent, more so than and more so than the addiction part. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, it does. I mean, and
Yeah.
because like you said before, you've done a lot of raising of this child, and so to see the effects it takes, not just on him, but on your husband.
Right.
Can you talk a bit about that dynamic between you and David?
Yeah. I mean, I asked Karen, I said, how did you guys sort of survive this? And she said, well, we never freaked out at the same time, which I think is smart. And I don't know if the movie shows this as much, but a little bit. I mean, Karen's is kind of a rock sort of for him, but look, I think it's a really great plan to have to try to say to each other, we can't freak out at the same time. So if you're freaking out, I'm just going to chill, and vice versa. So I think that's the way the whole family stayed together throughout. I mean, and this is several years of sobriety and slipping sobriety.
Mhm. Uh, you share most of your scenes with Steve Carell. Can you talk a bit
Mhm.
about working together and being able to build that kind of relationship that would translate on screen?
Yeah, well, he's like the greatest guy in the world. So it's not that hard to have a pretend relationship with him. He's so every single thing you think he is. He's so funny and kind. He's very present. He's very thoughtful about the work. Also really funny. Um, there was stuff that was cut out of the movie. There was more about just them at home, sort of before Timmy's character gets sick. And I understand why these scenes were cut, but I think the fact that Steve and I had quieter scenes together where they're just hanging out like a happily married couple, or making breakfast or making dinner. And those scenes ended up getting lifted. But I think the fact that we shot them helped to create this kind of just truth to that they were two people who were in it together.
Right.
So
That
you didn't see us shooting the scenes, but we shot a lot of scenes that established that.
really helps to build that up, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And working with Timothy Chalamet as
Hmm.
your stepson, can you talk a bit about that and about building that relationship?
Well, he's so lovely too. I mean, I don't know. He's a lovely young man, and of course, an amazing actor. But we rehearsed for a week too. We went up into this like funky house in Hollywood Hills and just for 5 days read the script, rehearsed, improvised. The DP was there and filming us the whole time. So I forgot about that. There was an entire week of just us hanging out together, talking and just working on the script. So I think that really helped, and I think that's where with Timmy he was he's so able to be and willing to be vulnerable and loved. So it's easy to love him. You know what I mean? He just is an open person. So even that week in rehearsals, I felt I don't know I loved him. He's a sweet kid.
And what did the
It's easy.
director? Yes, indeed. And what did the director Felix van Groningen? I hope I
Mhm.
pronounced that correctly.
I hope I pronounce it correctly too.
What did he give you and the other actors that helped you build those relationships and form your characters? And I mean, also, there's some particularly rough scenes that you guys have to do in this. So, how did he help get you through those?
Well, he is very open to improvisation, which I didn't do so much of, but a little bit. And I think Steve and Tim did. So, like what he gives you is a lot of time. In terms of he just sits in a scene, and we can just keep on doing it until everybody feels okay. So there's a lot of time, a lot of freedom to try many different things. Also, the way he shoots is uh, it's stunningly beautiful us that goes into it. And like, there's this one scene where I jump in the car and did you see the movie?
I did, yes, yeah.
And I chase him. It was just like the DP and the operator and me in the car, and they're like sitting in the car with like whatever pillow, like ferny pads on, and like one is right here next to me, one is right back here, and then we just drove the car. And so it's so simple, and the camera operators are there, but nobody else is, and you're kind of it's there's not a lot of fuss about it. It's a little guerrilla-ish. So I think that helped me. That's a nice way for me to work, because I don't like sitting around, and I don't like having to wait, and I don't like, you know what I mean? So there wasn't a lot of that,
What
because he
was it?
really knew what he was doing with the camera.
Right.
Go
Well,
ahead.
was there a particularly difficult moment for you to play from an emotional standpoint or something like that that you had a little bit of trouble with, or how
You're
do
kind
you?
of breaking up. So sorry.
I was asking if there was a particularly difficult scene for you to play that you remember, and just from any kind of standpoint.
Mm, I mean, they're all challenging. I just tried to. I didn't think about it that way. I just tried to take it moment by moment. That is how Felix works. I think Steve works that way too. To me, all of us. I tried not to anticipate anything as being difficult. I tried just to what we were shooting. So that all of it was just, I don't know, it was really a great experience.
Mhm.
There's always
Obviously,
something that's harder, but I don't,
right. I mean, just I
I
guess
guess I don't like to think about it that way.
right. I guess you can drive yourself crazy thinking about how you're going to play certain things, and I guess it's you must be a lot easier to just kind of jump in and do it.
Say that again, sorry.
I said, I guess you could just drive yourself crazy thinking about how you're going to play certain things, and
Right,
probably just easier be jumping right in and doing it.
exactly, that, exactly. Oh,
Um,
there was one scene that was really, really hard, but it was cut. So nobody saw it. It's about, there's a scene where he steals a check from me. Nick steals one of Karen's checks and forges her signature and cashes it. And it was really hard to shoot, and I was having a really hard time because the words were, it was weird. It was a weird scene. And I never got it right, and I'm not surprised it's cut. And I don't think the movie misses it. So yeah, that was hard.
I'll look for it on the Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the opioid crisis and all this stuff has been in the news, and this movie is obviously about a heroin addict, and which is of course an opioid. What do you think this movie can do to help in that conversation about this crisis and helping people deal with it?
I think, well, he's alive,
Mhm.
you know, A. Um, what I think is nice about the movie is that it shows how difficult the process can be. And some people get into trouble and they quit, and then they quit. And some people cannot. And it's not about your moral fiber. It's not about, it's about a cycle of addiction. And what I like about this movie is that it shows that you can succeed and then you fail, and you can succeed and then you fail. But failing doesn't mean it's the end of your life. You can try again. And so I think the reality of showing how difficult it is for some people to stay off drugs doesn't mean that you can never succeed, even if it takes you 6 years, which I think it did. I mean, they condensed the time a little bit, but that's what I think is a nice message about the movie, is like, he just kept trying. They all just kept trying. Nobody said fuck you or fuck it or I'm done, or they just kept trying. So that, I like that.
Have you talked to people who may have suffered through these same kinds of problems, or I don't know if the Chef family themselves have seen this movie yet or not, or I mean, have you talked to people who have gone through similar things? Has the movie had an impact on them? Do you know?
I don't know. Well, no one's really seen the movie yet that I know. But I talk to Karen a lot, so that's the person I talk to get most of my information, because it was her story. But
Mhm.
has anybody seen the movie?
Well, I've seen the movie, and I was the son of a opioid addict, and I can tell you that it rings very true for me. So,
Oh, really? Wait, I didn't hear that part. Did you say you were an opioid addict?
My mother was, yeah. So
Oh,
the movie rings very true
that's
for me.
hard.
Yeah. So I'm sure
So
that
you feel that it resonates.
it did with me. Yes, I'm sure it would with other people as well.
Hmm.
Those people I've
That's
talked to.
good.
Yeah. So congratulations on that, and thank you so much for your time
Thank
and
you.
for your participation in the film.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.